What's going on, fellow A-plussers? It's your boy, Adam Perez. We're back once again with a brand new live episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC television, and movie news, streaming live for you guys today. We got 6 incredible topics we're going to be diving into. 5 hours for Avengers Doomsday casting announcements. It's not going to take us 5 hours to get through them, but we're certainly going to talk about them with you guys today. We got ourselves a little bit of some Blade rumors going around when it comes to the MCU film that they have yet to certainly kick off. An update in regards to DCU Lanterns and a Nintendo video game finally coming to live action in The Legends of Zelda. That and plus more, guys. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is your boy, Adam Perez. We are back once again with a brand new live episode of A-Plus Hero Report, streaming live for you guys today over on YouTube, Facebook, and X as well, or aka Twitter, as I certainly still call it, and over on Twitch, or wherever you certainly watch our show from, guys. It is just myself today. Adam going solo dolo today. Stuart is currently out in Anaheim, as he is in fact providing for us some coverage for WonderCon this year. If you guys didn't see it on our YouTube channel, we did go ahead and put up one panel already from Friday. Writing in Animation was the panel title, as we wind up having some really great classic 90s cartoon writers from Batman, the animated series, Spider-Man, the animated series, Gargoyle, kind of talking about the ins and outs of putting their seasons together and really how you put together a show. So we got that. We got a Skeleton Crew panel certainly headed your guys' way later on today, or sometime really throughout the week. We'll probably be dropping some panels. I think we got anywhere between like 4 to 6 panels recorded for you guys, so should be really fun and great content for you guys to certainly sit back, enjoy, and certainly listen to. So I'm definitely excited. So that's what Stuart is certainly up here doing today. So it is in fact just myself here. But look, man, it should be a good show regardless. We got 6 incredible topics, some honorable mentions that we're going to be talking about for you guys here today as well. And look, if you are in the Anaheim area, go check out WonderCon this year, man. Two conventions that we try and attend every year. WonderCon, luckily for Stuart, him and his girlfriend love going to WonderCon every year. The one that we have yet to be able to get to, though, is San Diego Comic-Con. Usually you can't go to San Diego Comic-Con, or at least provide any sort of like press coverage for it if you don't do WonderCon also. So I've been keeping my fingers crossed for like the longest time that we'll eventually sort of get that opportunity to check out San Diego Comic-Con one of these days. But we'll see, man. We'll see how it certainly turns out for us. I'm trying to look on my Facebook page here. I just want to make sure that this is sharing properly over on Facebook as well. For some reason, it shows up on my features, but then it doesn't show up on like the actual YouTube. Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. It did pop up. I was wondering when it was going to pop up. Let me also see if I can tag some of our followers to it so that everybody can certainly join us here for today's show. It is just me manning the post. So look, guys, you know how we love to do this. At the end of the day, these are simply our A-plus opinions, but we always want to know yours as I go through these particular topics today. If you have any thoughts on them, certainly feel free to share them with me. Let your thoughts be known in the live chat, in the comments section. I love bouncing ideas off of you guys and having great discussion, especially since it's just me here today, along with my coffee and some water. I'm definitely going to need some of your guys' insight in regards to some of these topics that we talk about, so we can have ourselves a back and forth conversation here today. By the way, my uncle sent me a pretty badass gift this week. He knows I'm a big comic head, so every now and then he'll send me something cool. This is the Marvel year by year visual history. I was kind of going through it a little bit last couple nights ago, but this goes all through the decades, man. 57. It goes even further back. Was this 48? It just continues to keep going and going. 1979. For me, when I'm looking at this stuff, I'm always kind of fascinated just to, like, the art style as it progresses and as it gets better and better each year, kind of always blows me away, to be quite frank with you. um I haven't quite dug into it as far as like reading it specifically, but 1992, I do miss the 90s comic book style, I'm not gonna lie. But this goes all the way out until 20. This is 2001, giving you different comic books and stuff, different covers, different artists explained in here and stuff. This goes all the way out, believe it or not, to 2021. So it's what, maybe about 3 years, kind of not caught up, but I think that's pretty good in regards to, I don't know when this was published. This might have been published in 2022, so it's really not that old. I don't know exactly where he got it from, but yeah, it's the Marvel Year by Year Visual History. Always great to learn up about your comic book history and artists and things like that, and the evolution of art over time. So I'm definitely going to be diving into it. I got to figure out where he got that, from. Honestly, though. Let's see who's in our live chat, man. Let's give some people some love that are joining us live here today. And look, if you are joining us live, do us a big favor, man. Hit that like button. It costs nothing, absolutely free. It takes 1 second. Help support the show that way. It really does go a long way, guys. Let's see who we got in the house. Enrique, what's up, Enrique? Say he saw the new trailer for the upcoming Star Wars Andor season 2. Yeah, it looks good, man. It looks good. They released brand new posters, a brand new like wallpaper visual for it. It looks stunning. I'm ready to dive into it. I got one more episode of The Last of Us to watch, and then once I wrap that up, I'm going to be doing a rewatch of Andor season 1. So I cannot wait. I'm super excited. Official poster for a Wicked sequel. Oh, there's a poster. Oh, at CinemaCon. That's right. Just so you guys know, we do have CinemaCon coming this week, actually beginning tomorrow. It's going to be March 31st through April 3rd, if I'm not mistaken. For those of you who are unaware what CinemaCon is, it's usually like a brand new convention, but really for like movie theater owners, where studios will give presentations on the upcoming movies within the next 6 months to a year, to kind of highlight and really kind of get the movie theaters ready for the marketing push and the promotional stuff certainly headed their way. So every studio is going to be there in the next couple of days. Sony, Disney, Warner Brothers, Legendary. I mean, everybody's going to be giving some sort of presentation. And usually when they do, there's usually some trailers or some news and information that's going to be dropping. I'm going to talk to the girlfriend again, but I may be doing some live reactions to CinemaCon. I don't know if they have like a live stream or anything like that, but I do know that they have like a Sony Pictures panel tomorrow. And then after that, I believe Tuesday is the Superman, the Warner Brothers panel, where they're going to be talking a little bit about Superman. So I may be doing a live CinemaCon reaction tomorrow evening, and then again on Tuesday evening for Warner Brothers. But I'll keep you posted. If anything, I might set up the live streams early, so you might see something like upcoming on our YouTube page. So certainly look out for that. What else we got? Enrique talks about the live action or the casting announcements for Doomsday. We'll certainly talk about that here in a little bit. Ram Jam, what's going on, Ram Jam? Won't be able to join us for the live show today. Hey, that's okay, man. I hope he says I got some time on a long bus ride. Well, hey, man, I'm always glad when you're able to certainly stop on in. He says I work for a vape shop. We've been short staffed, so I've been working pretty early Monday through Friday and Sunday, opening a shop at different locations. Hey, man, that's you're grinding right now, man. You're grinding, working hard. Always love to see it, Ram Jim. I hope your day goes well, though, brother. Derpy, what's up, Derpy? Derpy Entertainment in the house. Always appreciate it. Yeah, guys, today it's just me, solo dolo. We got Stuart and his girlfriend over at WonderCon this weekend, providing some coverage for the event. So we should have some panels for you guys up this week. We got one already in writing and animation with the writers from Batman the Animated Series, Spider-Man the Animated Series, and Gargoyles, all of your favorite 90s cartoon stuff. We do have a panel of them discussing their time on the series up on our YouTube channel. So it's just myself. So look, if you can stick around, please stick around so that we can go ahead and have some great conversations today. But with that out of the way, guys, Let's get into our first topic, or I should say, our first segment of the day. And we got our honorable mentions for you guys. And real quick, if you do want to submit your live viewer questions over, we will be getting to live viewer questions at the end of the show. But if you want to submit them over, drop them in our comments or go over to our YouTube channel, click on the post tab, and there is a live viewer question post for you guys. But let us get into some honorable mentions, topics that didn't quite make the cut today, but certainly felt that you certainly deserve to know about them. And speaking of which, we got some brand new Superman promotional art. We just talked about CinemaCon. This Tuesday, the Warner Brothers panel is certainly happening. I am expecting them to drop a brand new Superman trailer for us. That's been the big rumor going around. We've only gotten the teaser. This movie is literally like, 4 months away, less than 4 months away. We need an official trailer. So I expect CinemaCon to certainly release one. I am curious if CinemaCon will also give us maybe like a 5-minute clip, a first clip, behind the scenes featurette. That I'm not sure about, but I do expect at least the main cast in David Cornswet, Rachel Brosnahan, and maybe Nicholas Hoult to be out there to talk about the movie a little bit. So beware, this Tuesday, be on alert. Warner Brothers will probably be dropping a brand new trailer. But today, I don't know if this was meant to be released or not, we got brand new promotional art for Superman, baby. David Cornswet in a brand new look as the Man of Steel. I love this image. I feel like this is outside of the stuff that we've seen from trailer wise. I feel like this is some of the crispest and cleanest sort of images of David as Superman. And this just reeks of classic Superman to me. It feels like he's in his Christopher Reeves bag right now. We got the color back, to certainly say the least, the bright color scheme. I'm actually, I'm going to be honest. The trunks are kind of growing on me a little bit. It's not quite like tidy whiteys or anything like that in its design. It feels more kind of like trunks, I guess, or like short boxers in a sense. And I think it's kind of grown on me a little bit more, to be quite frank with you. But I love this brand new image. I would not be surprised if at some point in time I clip this image out and use it for a thumbnail in the future. He's got the classic curl, and the costume continues to certainly grow on me, and the more and more that I certainly see it. But this is just promotional art. Again, as we are expecting CinemaCon to have a big Superman presence there at the Warner Brothers panel, to certainly say the least. So this stuff just dropped today. This stuff literally just dropped maybe 20 minutes before I came online. So I am curious to know what you guys think about it. What else did we get here today or this week? We got a brand new I Know What You Did Last Summer poster. The movie is set to go ahead and release this July 18th. I actually remember seeing the original in theaters, if that ages me at all, so you guys know exactly how old I am. So we did get that this week. We also got Red Sonja in the news, believe it or not. Red Sonja's reboot actually gets a release, or a rating, I should say. Red Sonja is actually going to be officially rated R for strong, bloody violence. I think we talked a little bit about this in the past, that they had gotten a distribution studio or somebody to distribute the film over in the UK, but it wasn't announced as to whether or not Red Sonja was going to get distribution here in the United States, but it does appear that it will be now. Let me see if I'm just trying to find that piece of information here, but I did read it on here in this article that I'm looking at right now, but I can't seem to find it at the moment. But it is going to be dropping later on this year. 2025 is the year that it's certainly scheduled. Here we go. Okay, here we go. According to the classifications and rating administration, Red Sonja is going to be rated R. This is a good sign of the faithful adaptation. Cara, Cara, is also listed also listed the movie's U.S. distributor as Samuel Goldwyn Films, which hadn't been announced before. So they've had a UK distributor, but they now have a US distributor as well yet. So it does have plans on releasing here in the US, just no release date yet, but it is scheduled for 2025. We did get some behind the scenes photos kind of here and there as production was taking place on this particular film. So I'm excited to get some more Red Sonja, man. I haven't seen a picture of her since like the 80s, to be quite frank with you. I know she's had some like comic lines too, if I'm not mistaken, over the years. But yeah, let's see here. What else we got? Um, oh, my boy. Giancarlo Esposito was in the news as he recently teased the idea that he wants to play Mr. Freeze if he were, in fact, to join the DCU. He told IGN at Fan Expo Cleveland that he'd be interested in playing the villain in the DCU. We're still waiting word as to what's going on with the Brave New World sort of or Brave New World, Bold and the Brave and the Bold, the Batman movie. We haven't really had any news on it whatsoever, but he did tease that he would be interested in playing Batman's Mr. Freeze. They also went ahead and dropped a really cool. Somebody put together a cool fan art of Giancarlo Esposito as Mr. Freeze. I'm here for it, man. You know, look, I was thoroughly impressed with him as Sidewinder in the Captain America film. And based off of the fact that that was pretty much a sort of a last minute character that was thrown in there, and Giancarlo really had to kind of make the character his own. I was kind of impressed in what he was able to bring to life for that character. And if he could do something like that for a character that was just kind of thrown into it, I think he's got the talent to honestly do anything. And I think the idea of him being a Mr. Freeze would really, really personally work for me. So he's teasing it. We'll see if it's something that ever happens, but I certainly hope James Gunn himself is listening, because I think that would be pretty epic, honestly. Let's see here. What else do we got? We did get some brand new How to Train Your Dragon posters. You know, we're so used to character posters being dropped. But this time they said, screw the character posters, man. What about dragon posters? As we get a glimpse as to all of the dragons that are going to be in this particular film, or at least the main ones here. Toothless as the Night Fury. We got the Deadly Nader here also. You know, I saw somebody, I posted these up on our TikTok page at Hero Report. And I do remember somebody talking about the idea of like, they wish that these dragons were a little bit more realistic, like Game of Thrones sort of dragons, that they look a little bit too cheesy. You know, look, I think they did. I have no problem with the designs of these dragons. I think the Monstrous Nightmare looks pretty damn impressive, if you ask me. For being able to take sort of an animated creature and live action it as up as much as some of these are. I mean, look, we even have the double-headed dragon here, the hideous Zippleback. I think this looks great I mean, if we're talking about going from animated to live action, I think they definitely have sort of the vibe of like the facial features from the animated movie, to certainly say the least. But I think the dragon designs look brilliant in here. This is probably the goofiest one for me, though, the gruesome Gronkle. But that's pretty funny. My favorite is easily the Terrible Terror. But yeah, I'm loving some of these animated, or I should say these dragon posters for How to Train Your Dragon. When is the release date? That's coming up pretty soon, huh? June 13th. Okay, so we still got a little bit time here. But yeah, man, those are some really great character posters that we wind up getting this week. Well, not character posters, but dragon posters. It's a nice little touch. I expect maybe we will get character posters at some particular point in time, but the highlighting of the dragons, I think, was rather brilliant, if you ask me. Also, guys, if you are unaware, we did go ahead and drop our most recent Daredevil Born Again review for you guys. Episode 5 and 6 is currently up on our YouTube page. Um, Go ahead and check it out if you certainly haven't done so yet. But we've got technically what, 3 more episodes left. I think they're going to be single episodes. I don't think we got any more batches certainly coming, but I can kind of see why they put episodes 5 and 6 together, simply because of the fact that episode 5 felt very standalone-ish. Um, and in the big sort of scheme of things, I personally don't think it fit really well into this season. I think episode 6 might have highlighted some of the concept of, Kingpin and the $1.8 million, but outside of Daredevil's girlfriend referencing the jailbreak, I don't think there's even like a lot of immediate reference, not the jailbreak, the bank robbery. I don't know if there's a lot of immediate references that you need to know going into episode 6 that you feel like you might have missed an episode when it comes to episode 5. Like episode 4 and episode 6, to me, I almost feel like you could have aired them just back to back. And just from a tonal, emotional kind of standpoint of the vibe that this season was getting, it felt like a very easy transition from episodes 4 to 6. Episode 5 for me is very much the outlier in this show and felt like a carryover. But I talk a little bit more about it in my review. But the reason why I'm bringing up Daredevil Born Again is this week we got brand new set photos as season 2 is currently filming. That's right. Even before season 1 went ahead and dropped, cameras started rolling on season 2. Now, some of this might be spoilers for you guys. I'm just going to put this up right now. Some of this might be spoilers in regards to costume designs for Daredevil, as Charlie Cox is, in fact, wearing a brand new Daredevil suit. So if you want to stick around and see what the suit looks like, you've been warned, okay? So here we go. Daredevil Born Again set photos. He's got his looks like his Shadowland costume here from the comic books, and finally, people have been asking for the double D's on his chest for the longest time, and they're finally here. They're finally here. I am kind of curious as to why he decided to finally put his logo on his costume for the first time. I have a feeling that they probably will put it in canonize it in some way, maybe some sort of like explanation from Matt Murdock. I mean, look, everybody's got their own logo, right? The Punisher's got his skull. He clearly sees that people are using that symbol to mean something when it comes to corrupt cops. So maybe Daredevil wanted a symbol of his own. So we'll see how it turns out. But yeah, we got some great set photos here. I think he even looks better in this suit. I don't know if it's the suit design, if it's more stealthy. It just feels tighter around him. I mean, look, I don't know. I don't think this is his stunt double or anything like that. But Charlie Cox looks ripped in this brand new costume here. But yeah, this looks sleek, man. We've gotten the opportunity to kind of see that Daredevil has a variety of different costumes just from season 1 alone. And over time, we've seen him pop up in several different costumes. But season 2 will be the first one that we get to see him in this stealth costume or his Shadowland one. This is my favorite image, though, of the behind the set photos. Is I think a flare went off, or there was an explosion of a light bulb or something. I don't know. It's just the perfect moment of capturing Daredevil in this image. But yeah, man, Charlie Cox in his brand new Daredevil costume. Let me know what you guys think, man, in the comment section box below. Enrique, have you checked out the official Wicked sequel poster yet? No, I have not. Let me see if I can find it. I have a couple of social media things open all at the same time. So let me see. Wicked. Oops. Let me see what else has popped up. Oh, I see. Ooh, that's nice. Ooh, I dig it. Here, let me my girlfriend actually so I was getting the show ready today. And I was getting the show ready yesterday, right? And as I was getting it finished, she comes running into the room and she's like, "Babe, I just watched Wicked." I was like, It's pretty good, huh? She was like, "I loved it. It was so good." I saw it in theaters, and I had asked her if she wanted to see it with me, and I don't think she did at the time, but I guess something decided to make her check it out for herself, and she finally did yesterday, and, yeah, man, she sees what all the hype is about. This is the Wicked poster here. I think this is awesome. I love like the canyon divide of seeing them both on their opposite sides as Glinda decided to stay behind as the Wicked Witch decided to go ahead and make a trail of her own, if you will. But yeah, man, it looks good. Wicked for good. I'm curious why they came up with that name, but yeah, that is the new Wicked poster. I can't wait to see it, man. Can't wait to see it. I was a big fan of the first one. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to some of the honorable mentions today. All right, man. And with that out of the way, guys, let's get into our main topics of the day. We got a great show, man. We got a couple of things that we're going to be talking about here today. As you can see at the top, our casting announcements for the Avengers, along with the Legends of Zelda live action news for you guys. We got some rumors in regards to Blade, some DCU Lantern stuff not highlighted on this thumbnail, but we got plenty to certainly talk about today. So let's go ahead and dive into it with our first topic being Avengers Doomsday, baby. Look, he's coming. Doomsday is coming. And to begin the hype train this past Monday, we had a huge announcement from Avengers Doomsday, or Marvel Studios, I should say, that gave us a rundown of the cast that was going to be in Doomsday in quite a way that I was not expecting. We had heard rumors that, look, we were probably going to get a casting announcement, but we had no idea how they were going to reveal it to everybody. But I watched this stream on YouTube. I posted it over on Facebook, and man, this was like a 5-hour casting announcement. I mean, the thing literally went on for a majority of my work shift. And I was kind of here for it. At first, I wasn't, if I could be honest with you. I know some people think that this was like terrible marketing for Avengers Doomsday, but I think the stream in total got like, maybe I'm tripping. I thought it got like 12 million views or some shit like that. Maybe that was all across social media. I have no idea. But there's people were watching it. Like, regardless if people were on Twitter bitching and complaining about it, they bitched and complained for every name for 5 hours straight. Okay. So the fact that you literally got people to watch a stream for 5 hours certainly says something, and people still walking away talking about it today. So yeah, people might have questioned, maybe it was a little bit too boring for some people. Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. The first hour was like a slug, was like just like a sloth. Like I was just moving in slow motion. You know, we would get one chair and I'd be sitting here patiently waiting for the next one. I'm like, how long is it gonna take for them to get to the next chair? Like, what is the need for like a 10 or 15-minute wait? Like, just move on to the next chair already. Like, that was my mentality the first hour into it or so. And then I would say maybe it was the Kelsey Grammer reveal as the Beast that was like, oh, oh, okay. And like after that, I was locked in. I was locked in for the rest of the 4 hours. I literally was like, started live tweeting everything. Um, I found myself like when the music would start rising again, I start trying to listen to hear whose theme that was and try and guess who the next chair was gonna be. And I locked in like an hour later. I thought this was like the coolest reveal they could have possibly have done. Look, do I take look? Was it too long? Absolutely, it was too long. I'm not gonna doubt that. But it got people to watch, and it got people to talk about it. And for somebody that, if you're talking about marketing, and you're talking about reaching people, this was definitely one of those brilliant marketing schemes. Not everybody was certainly gonna like it, but it worked. And that's exactly what you needed this thing to do, and that was work. And man, we got ourselves quite the I don't want to say rogues gallery, but we got ourselves quite the ensemble cast here when it comes to Avengers Doomsday. And it worked. It really worked. If anything, there are a couple people that really sort of surprised me. Um, the X-Men announcement certainly surprised me, to say the least. The Alan Cummings as Nightcrawler, the James Marsden as Cyclops returning certainly got me. I love the Paul Rudd announcement where everybody gets their regular size actor's chair and then the camera pans down and you got this little bitty Paul Rudd chair. I thought that was pretty brilliant in regards to it. I thought they were going to have fun with the chairs after that. I was really hoping. I think we all knew that Robert Downey Jr. was going to be the last. There was a part of me that was hoping instead of an actor's chair, it was going to be a throne. I think that would have been really appropriate if they had did that, but that's not the route that they went, unfortunately. But the ending of it was a really, first off, they got a freaking airplane hangar or some level of like huge studio. I don't know how they fit all those how they fit that whole entire line of chairs in there, but I did love the imagery of Robert Downey Jr.'s chair and then the gate or the door opening slowly in the background, and then you just see this ominous presence, just one person just walking towards the camera, and then it's in fact revealed to be Robert Downey Jr. Cinematically, it really worked for me. It was very appealing to the eye and how they made it work. But look, 5 hours was a little bit too long. And what was more, I think I didn't have a problem with it, but I think what was more insulting to me was the fact that literally after watching like 5.5 hours of this, I kid you not, like 15 minutes later, the most insulting part was that Marvel Studios literally drops a minute and a half clip reveal of the same chairs we watched for 5.5 hours. Like all normal chairs, one slow motion from the camera. I mean, literally after the live was ended, they probably started the camera back up again, filmed this in a minute and a half, and then dropped the clip on Marvel Studios just in case. So if you didn't want to sit around like everybody 12 other million people had to do for 5 hours, if you just want the cliff notes of it, here it is, guys. Like, bro, you should have just started out with that. Okay, you should have just started out with that. But again, from a marketing standpoint, they took up the whole day. That's all anybody was talking about. So yeah, some people can complain. It was slow, it was boring, it was effective. And if you're trying to market a movie, you want effective over boring because people talked about it all freaking day. And yeah, man, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. But Avengers Doomsday is certainly happening. Production has in fact begun. I think the biggest question for a lot of people, though, are the names that were not there. Oh, first off, Channing Tatum's name announced. I was so happy for the guy. He was another name. Ian McKellen. Again, all the X-Men, really. I was really happy to certainly see back. The people that did come back, Ian McKellen, fantastic. I mean, get this man for Gandalf real quick. These people got to be like 90 something years old. How old? Like they were old when they first started out in the first X-Men. How old are they now? It's kind of crazy to me. But Ian McKellen's coming back. Patrick Stewart is coming back. Um, Channing Tatum's name being up there, I felt so proud for this man. Considering the fact that he missed out on becoming part of the Fox universe. I mean, the man was out there at San Diego Comic-Con years ago when they announced Logan. They were going to announce a Gambit movie and things like that. He was getting ready to be part of the family. It's all he ever wanted, and it got taken away from him because of the merger. But now there's been life rejuvenated in it for him when he finally came back for Deadpool and Wolverine and did his Gambit thing. And now he's going to be part of the X-Men in some capacity in Doomsday. And I'm so glad that this has been a fantastic full circle moment for him. If you've heard Channing Tatum talk about being able to play Gambit, you know how much of like a dream this is for his character or for him in general to play this character. I'm so happy that he's finally gotten his moment, to certainly say the least. Um, I did write down all the names. Let me see what other names popped up that really grabbed my attention here. Um, I was disappointed in the Thunderbolts reveals. We got a bunch of Thunderbolt reveals that really kind of spoil or really remove a lot of stakes from the upcoming Thunderbolts movie. I was kind of under the impression that there were going to be some people that might, in fact, sort of die off. Or, when you're going up against somebody like the Void or the Sentry, you would think that it would be a little bit more impactful than what it certainly would, or have some sort of ramifications on these characters, but it doesn't seem like that's the case, like, at all. Ghost is coming back, the Sentry, Yelena, Red Guardian, US Agent is coming back. Tom Hiddleston made me pop. I was happy to see Tom Hiddleston's name on there, so it's good to know that Loki is going to have some presence in this. And then we've got all the Fantastic Four people certainly coming back. For X-Men, I'm glad James Marsden is back. I hope that they do him a little bit of justice before we wind up getting the reboot. And I kind of expect, look, I feel like we've said this before when it comes to X-Men characters. Like, we've seen these same X-Men characters reused and recycles over the years, saying this is their last hurrah. This is the last time you're going to see them. And they keep coming back. I have no problem with it, but I am ready for a new generation of X-Men, and I do think officially this will be sort of like their last hurrah. And then I do expect after Secret Wars for us to get a brand new generation of X-Men at some particular point in time. So this is definitely going to be their last outing. I mean, when we're talking about getting Rebecca Romaine back, Ian McKellen back, Alan Cumming, like, just all these names people wouldn't have expected, I got to assume that this is going to be the end for them. We do have an article here because we're going to talk a little bit about the people that weren't present in this lineup. I mean, we had Thor, Captain America, Bucky Barnes, Letitia Wright as Black Panther, Ant-Man, Loki, U.S. Agent, even Tenoch Huerta is coming back as Namor, Simu Liu as Shang-Chi is coming back, Falcon from Brave New World, M'Baku is certainly even coming back in here. So there's a lot of names that certainly didn't make the cut, but I did find it interesting that the Hollywood Reporter talked about the cast reveals in here, and it does bring up the notion that some names were not present in here. It says sources say that even with 26 actors announced, um, Marvel wasn't done revealing the entire cast, although when or how another unveiling will occur was unclear. Um, so yeah, so even though they have 26 people were announced, not everybody, um, not everybody has officially been announced yet. So there's definitely more to come in regards to these characters coming back. And if I can be honest with you, look, there were definitely characters, and I kind of explained this a little bit over on Twitter, was the idea that, you know, Infinity War and Endgame definitely have, like, different cast members in there for sure, right? Some that they rely on, some that they certainly don't. I have a feeling that the people that were announced will be the ones that have sort of the most and major impact in regards to moving the story and the plot along for Avengers Doomsday. The other characters that have not been announced, there's a part of me that wonders if they're going to be in smaller roles, cameo roles, or maybe some just won't be in here, right? I mean, we're talking Hugh Jackman wasn't brought up in here. There's plenty of people that Captain Marvel wasn't brought up in here. Elizabeth Olsen wasn't brought up in here. Storm, aka played by Holly Berry, wasn't brought up in here. And the big notable name is probably going to be Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Wasn't brought up in here either. So I think I think that certainly did rub some people the wrong way in regards to Tom Holland not being in here. But I would also remind people Tom Holland as Spider-Man was barely in Avengers Endgame until sort of like the very last final act of that particular movie. Now, granted, you could probably say, well, Adam, in the first two Avenger films, he's not like a core Avenger at this time. He's not really like that dependent of a character. When it comes to those two Avenger films, and you definitely have a point. He's definitely, especially after those events, he's definitely become a bigger piece to the MCU and a more certainly important character. So the idea of not having Tom Holland in something like Doomsday is quite jarring. But I would also put this out in the sense that you have to remember also Spider-Man 4 is set to take place um drops, I should say, between Doomsday and Secret Wars. So I do have a sneaking feeling here that this is almost like a three-part story. I have a feeling Spider-Man 4 will play a more pivotal of a role in these Avenger films than what like Ant-Man and the Wasp played to Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. So when I think of Doomsday and Secret Wars, I also put Spider-Man 4 in there because I do think this is sort of like a three-part story kind of being told here. So I'm kind of okay with the idea of Tom Holland not being in this movie. Maybe he gets a cameo, maybe he gets a brief appearance or something like that. But I have a feeling the people that were announced will in fact be the people that will have the main arc of this story, and then those that weren't announced, that have yet to be announced, will probably have smaller roles, maybe cameos here or there. I mean, the ensemble is already huge. I don't even know how many characters the Russo brothers had to deal with when it comes to something like Avengers Infinity War, but that's a lot of characters already to kind of give screen time to. You know, they've done a really good job of being able to balance a lot of characters all at once and keep the movie and the story and the plot sort of moving forward. So to ask them to then include all these other characters, one, I think we're really stretching them a little bit too thin, especially if some people are already concerned about the Russo brothers certainly coming back. So if the people that were announced are in fact the main characters of Doomsday, I'm perfectly okay with this. Allow them to cook and focus on the story using these characters. And I do expect the other characters to be revealed to, I mean, I don't want to say have side missions or side quests or anything like that, but maybe use sparingly, and then we'll maybe have a bigger presence in something like Spider-Man 4 or even Secret Wars when we get to that particular moment in time. So it will be interesting. And speaking of Spider-Man 4, there was a rumor that wind up dropping this week after the announcements to kind of explain the absence a little bit. This is from comicbook.com. Rumored Spider-Man 4 plot details may explain Peter's absence. So it says, Jeff Snyder, Hollywood insider Jeff Schneider, shared information he's heard about Spider-Man 4's plot. While Holland currently has a rather high-profiling schedule conflict with Doomsday, which is now in production, you have to also remember he's Tom Holland. I think that's really why he's not in this movie or a majority of the movies, because conflicting of schedules. He's also filming the Odyssey for Christopher Nolan right now. So for him to be there maybe takes him away, but maybe Nolan wraps up filming and maybe he can come into Doomsday and have a small cameo or a small role. I really have no idea. It says the story Marvel is looking to tell in Spider-Man 4 apparently takes place during the events of Doomsday. So maybe this is very much sort of parallel storytelling kind of taking place. Likewise, he says, I don't expect to see Tom Holland in Doomsday, though it's less about the actor's schedule and more about the character's schedule, as I understand that Spider-Man takes place at the same time as Doomsday, which would explain his extended absence from that film. He also added rumors that a chameleon will be the villain in Superman 4, but cautioned take that one with a grain of salt. So let's just ignore the chameleon aspect, as he's not even quite sure himself. He seems very knowledgeable about the idea that we are talking about parallel stories happening here. While the events of Doomsday are taking place, Spider-Man is going through his own sort of situation here as well, in a sense of handling some things. And so I do believe that both of these stories fit really well together and will manage to combine at some point when we get to something like Secret Wars. So I expect I this is kind of something that I expect to happen. So it feels very much like no, Tom Holland won't be in Doomsday, and I think that's okay. I think that's okay. I think that's going to be more than fine, especially if you've got Spider-Man 4 that are going to be dealing with, I wouldn't even say ramifications of what happened in Doomsday, because it looks like the storytelling is going to be parallel with each other at the same time. So while our heroes have something to deal with on one end, Peter clearly has something to deal with as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they pull this off. But yeah, what are you guys saying? Oh, we got Blossom in the house. What's up, Blossom? Appreciate you certainly coming through. Enrique says, when is filming for Avengers Doomsday coming? I believe it's filming right now. It's in production as of right now. They're filming the movie. Darth Gutierrez, what's up, Darth? Good to certainly see you in here. It's just me rolling solo dolo today, man. So if you guys have any thoughts in the comment section box below, please certainly go ahead and let me know. If anything, I think the notion of Spider-Man 4 being parallel to Doomsday, it does make me now wonder even more who Sadie Sink's character is. Um, there was the idea of her playing Jean Grey as a possibility. Now I don't think so much that that's a possibility. And I only say that because with I only say that because with Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Rebecca Romaine, like getting the OG X-Men characters back, if to me it feels like the idea of having a completely different Jean Grey in Spider-Man 4 to me wouldn't make any sense. Almost in the sense like if we are going to do Jean Grey and Doomsday is going to be bringing back all these old characters, just bring back the original Jean Grey character one more time, right? So I am kind of now under the impression that Sadie Sink is going to be playing somebody entirely different. I think the Firestar rumors could certainly still be out there, or Firestar theories could certainly be out there for sure. I will also be fascinated. I think maybe even a Gwen Stacy is now a possibility. I still don't think Black Cat is up there. She's just not, not to offend anybody. She's just not sultry enough. Like I need my Black Cat to be like just sexy. You know what I'm saying? Like just something where like Peter Parker's jaw just drops. I can't get enough of her, sort of thing. So I think the possible look, maybe even the possibility of her, yeah, being a Gwen Stacy, whether that be a classic Gwen Stacy, whether that be a Gwen from a multiverse, I'm starting to think it's either Gwen Stacy or Firestar now that she could potentially be playing in the Spider-Man 4 picture. So I do think the casting announcement for Doomsday eliminates the idea of Jean Grey in this movie for Sadie Sink in Spider-Man 4. But that's just me personally. But yeah, man, overall, if there are other names that I missed that were not announced, that you guys are a little bit bummed about, please go ahead and let me know. I'm trying to see if this Hollywood Reporter article mentions anybody else's names that shockingly were not revealed. It doesn't say in the article itself, but there are quite a few names that didn't quite make the cut. But we'll see what happens here, man. I really hope that when it comes to this movie, I really hope that the Russo brothers get in their bag. To be quite frank with you, I have not been really impressed with a lot of their work outside of Marvel Studios. But maybe it has something to do also with being a part of this production company, having limitations put on you, knowing these characters in the world that you're investing all this time into you know how to make these big cinematic events. And I also would say too, I'll have to look this up, IMBD style, but it says in this article that the Russo brothers opted to return after their frequent screenwriter collaborator Stephen McFeely pitched them his take. You know, I remember the Russos saying like, "Oh, we had no idea how we were going to tackle this until we reached out to Stephen McFeely and he pitched us this idea and we found a way into the story." Um, you know, if you recall, I think Stephen McFeely and there was another writer. Was it Christopher Ford? I can't remember. There was another writer attached with them when they did the previous movies. Um, and so it makes me wonder if Stephen McFeely is truly the secret sauce here. Maybe not so much the Russo brothers, but like maybe when they team up with somebody like a Stephen McFeely, he's able to not only inject his own really great ideas, but he's able to really, I don't want to say rein in the Russo brothers, but allow them to kind of stay focused in making a coherent sort of story with inside of the MCU. Like maybe the Russo brothers on their own are maybe something to worry about, but maybe Stephen McFeely is sort of like that missing piece. I would be curious to see. I have to try and do some research and remember who the other writer attached was with Stephen McFeely and the Russos when they did Infinity War and Endgame. He opted that one. That writer decided not to return. So I do wonder if maybe the two of them together were the secret sauce. Maybe Stephen McFeely was the secret sauce in and of itself. But I do think the idea that Stephen is coming back reassures me a little bit that the Russo brothers aren't going to be left up to their own devices to give us a movie like The Electric State, like they did for Netflix. So we'll see, man. We'll see. I'm still hopeful in the Russo brothers, but we'll see because I think Stephen McFeely might certainly be the gem here in the rough. But look, guys, I want to know your thoughts. What did you guys think about the 5 hour reveal for the casting announcements for Marvel? Did you think it was brilliant marketing? Were you bored? Were you upset? I'm telling you, man, I was bored the first hour, but then your boy was locked in, and I was celebrating every name that came across. So I'm excited for Avengers Doomsday, which is currently in production right now. But yeah, guys, let's go ahead and move on to our next topic, shall we? Let's see what is next on the agenda. Yes, Blade is back in the news. Man, is this movie ever gonna get made, dude? Like, I have a feeling this movie will get made at some point in time. It's just a little bit of a bummer that it's gonna happen after the events of Secret Wars. I mean, is my man even gonna be in a Secret Wars movie? Like, can Mahershala Ali like just show up as Blade? We didn't get no announcements for the Eternal characters in Doomsday or Secret Wars, or I should say in Doomsday at least. We heard Blade's voice in the post credit for Eternals. I mean, even if he's not going to be in his own movie, can my man show up at least in Secret Wars? I mean, my goodness, are they going to get Wesley Snipes to come back for Secret Wars and then really reboot this sort of thing all over again? I've got no idea, but rumors are swirling in regards to further development of the Blade film. Let me go ahead and bring this article up. This one comes to us. I think this is from comingsoon.net. Let me pull this up here. A rumor that I'm all for if it turns out to be true. But Mahershala Ali says MCU Blade update: director possibly found after Kari Fukunaga was eyed. I feel like we're just going in complete circles here with first we got a writer, then we got a director, then we don't have a writer, then we don't have a director, then we got a writer, then we got another director, then we lose both of them, then we got a director, and now we got another director. Like I'm really losing track of who like creatively is even behind the camera for this film anymore. It says, according to Jeff Schneider, the insider source, Kevin Feige has vowed to press on with the project. Snyder mentioned that Marvel has a new director on Blade, and while not confirmed at this time, it sounds like it could very well be Chad Stahelski. For those of you who don't know who Chad Stahelski is, we've said his name around here quite a few times. That is, in fact, the director and the writer of, or the director for John Wick, the John Wick movies. He's been heavily influenced right now in working on the John Wick universe. He did some reshoots and some action sequences for that of the ballerina, injecting a little bit John Wick isms into that film, if you will. I don't know if Chad Stahelski has another movie ready to go at any particular point in time. So this kind of does line up with maybe his availability to go ahead and direct a Blade movie, which, if you ask me, man, what a combination. I mean, a match made in heaven if this in fact turns out to be true. It does say that the site World of Real also published a story earlier this month that suggested Stahelski was rumored to be eyed for the project. Stahelski is best known for his work on John Wick, as he directed all four films as a part of the main franchise thus far. The fact that the World of Real also suggested this now gives us two sources of information here to go off of. Now we've got two completely different sources suggesting the idea that Chad Stahelski could in fact be the new director of Blade. Snyder additionally said that True Detective's Cary Fukunaga was attached to the Blade movie at one point in time. However, that fell through, as Fukunaga is rather famously difficult to work with, and Marvel was looking for someone a little more studio friendly. There is another report. I do have to put it out there. There is another report that I read somewhere that was suggesting that the Blade movie is not even going to happen at this point, that they're thinking about, or that maybe Ali might walk away or whatever. It is just a rumor, and the source that comes from, I've never heard of that person before to know whether or not they're reliable or not. The only people that I have known to be reliable in this regards really is Jeff Schneider. And the World of Real tends to hit on things from time to time as well. So the fact that we've got two sources sort of confirming the same thing here, to me, it feels like there is something here in regards to Chad Stahelski from John Wick being brought on board for Blade. Again, how far along this deal is? Have they even approached him? Is there an offer on the table? That I don't know. I would certainly still take this certainly as a rumor for right now. But this is one rumor that I really want to certainly see happen. Mahershala Ali is not getting any younger. Okay. I think Mahershala Ali literally has maybe one Blade movie in him before having to pass the mantle. The guy's like at least in his 50s, right? Let me see if I can find out how old he is. I mean, how much action and karate and stuff are you going to be asking this man to certainly do? Mahershala Ali, I don't know if he has a background of martial arts. He's 51 years old, right? So I would assume if you started filming today, he would be at least 53 by the time that this movie were in fact to drop. And if you were going to start trying to make a sequel for this movie, what are we talking him like 54, 55? I have no idea how good Mahershala Ali keeps himself in shape. I'm hoping he's doing his Pilates right now. Getting ready for his, I hope he's in his Blade bod right now. Because if I'm Marvel and I've got a script and I've possibly got Chad Stahelski on board as a director, man, I'm pushing forward with this as soon as I possibly can. Like as soon as I possibly can. Maybe I don't know. I know Disney is going to be at CinemaCon this year. I think if anything, they might push Avengers Doomsday. Maybe that's where they announce some of the remaining cast members. I don't expect a Blade announcement from CinemaCon. If anything, if they're going to be in attendance in any capacity at like a San Diego Comic Con later on this year, and maybe a D23, maybe that's where we get sort of a big announcement in regards to Blade, kind of going forward in the future of it, because we need some movement, and we need some movement quickly. Darv says, you're right, Adam. They're going in circles, and it seems if they don't know what they're going to do. I'm like I said, I'm curious if they have. The article says that Feige is committed to making this happen. I would assume, if anything, that they have a script ready, but maybe they're having a hard time landing on who the director is. But I do think if you're going to have any director, Chad is probably my number one choice for the type of film that we're going to be getting. If you can bring sort of that John Wick vibe to a Blade, which reminds me very much of like early Wesley Snipes sort of Blade movies. I just think of like the club sequence that he strolls up into to go ahead and kill vampires. Like that feels very sort of like vampire John Wick to me. And so I do think Chad, if this rumor is true, would be brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Have this man sign on the dotted line, Kevin Feige, and let's get going, man. Let's get going. This movie cannot afford sort of like any more hiccups, to be quite frank with you, man, because man's not getting any younger. And I'm sure people would like to see him around at least for more than just one film. I think that's what Mahershala Ali originally planned, maybe two films or whatever the case may be. But if we want to get him in multiple films, Mahershala, start your workout now, man. Start your workout now. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. What do you guys think? Do you think the rumor is true? Again, two sources talking about the idea of Chad Stahelski being the director for Blade now. Is that something you personally would like to see? Do you have another director in mind? Do you think Chad's style would really work for a Blade movie? Certainly go ahead and let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section box below. Let's see here. Do me a favor, guys. Again, if you're in the live chat, if you haven't had the time to hit that like button, please go ahead and do so, man. Help a brother out here with that algorithm, especially since I'm going solo dolo today. Trying to certainly make it happen for us. Let's see here. What else we got today? Let's go from the MCU over to the DCU. As DCU Lanterns is back in the news this week. You know, I am trying to get this hype train for Lantern started, y'all. I feel like I think there's a level of excitement for this show. I also think there's a level of trepidationness that people have towards this series as well. I think once we get the first look at the costumes, I think the mentality of people will certainly change for the show. But considering the fact that really our first look has really just been civilian clothing, people are still questioning like, what is this show going to be? People have talked really highly about the script. They've talked about this show being grounded and yet somehow really still working for a Lanterns television show. But what is this show really going to be? And I felt like I've personally been determined every time that I've seen a Lanterns article that praises the show. I feel like I have been really going out of my way to try and do my best to get the hype train for Lanterns going even more. Having the faith in the fact that this show, I think, is going to be something rather incredible. And so we wind up getting a brand new article here this week. One of the directors from one of the episodes came out this week and talked about it. And I thought this was brilliant. And again, in the sense of reassuring the fans that, hey, it may be grounded, but it's gonna be okay. And I think he says some brilliant things in here that will certainly do that. This is from collider.com. It doesn't lack its sci-fi magic. That's music to my ears, man. That's music to my ears. Let's go ahead and dive into this, though. This is an exclusive report. British director James Hawes has made his mark on the TV landscape, ranging from projects like Doctor Who to Slow Horses. His next project is something entirely different, Lanterns. Look, if you worked on Doctor Who, you know about sci-fi, okay? So James Hawes' experience in sci-fi, I'm taking notice already. Hawes spoke about his vision for the series and how he came to direct the project, saying, I've worked with the team at HBO Max 3 times before. I set up Snowpiercer, and I've worked with them on The Alienist and Raised by Wolves. Raised by Wolves, another heavy sort of sci-fi television series from the mind of Ridley Scott. So this guy knows when he's talking about sci-fi, he knows his sci-fi. He says, there's a very particular humor they brought to this. It's very rooted in a way that I like to think we achieve with Slow Horses, that I achieve with things like my Black Mirrors. He's even done Black Mirrors. And yet there is a rich vein of humor running through it. So again, it was about that tone. I'm such a huge fan of Damon Lindelof and Chris Mundy and the writing that they've done in the past. So there's a level of levity in here. To me, that tends to lead to great chemistry between the characters, to be quite frank with you. He says, listen, it all starts from the script the director offered. When you turn those pages, can you get the smell of it? You always find a scene or two that you think, I can't wait to be stood beside the camera and the cast directing this scene on the day. If that happens on turning the pages, you know this is something you have to take seriously. And that absolutely happened with Lanterns. To some extent, it's a swerve. Superheroes are not somewhere I've really played before, but it's created in such a way, and I can't tell you much, that it bewitched me. I feel like that's what everybody is talking about. James Gunn says, I read the script. I don't know how they did it in regards to blending the groundedness and the sci-fi aspects of Green Lanterns and just making a compelling script. He says it was excellent. We've even seen other actors talk about the idea that, look, I don't know anything about sci-fi. I'm not a big fan of superhero stuff, or I don't know superheroes that well. But what they've created makes me understand it, and it makes me feel like I can just easily live in that world, sort of thing. So the fact that he's saying, look, I've never played with superheroes before, but they've created it in such a way that's bewitched me, it feels like a lot of people have been so incredibly impressed by Lanterns and in the world that they've been able to just easily walk into and just handle anything that kind of comes their way. He says it doesn't lack its sci-fi magic, but it's done in a world where you accept that these things just are. They don't need that extra sprinkle of sci-fi fairy dust. It works within a physical world that we've come to know. And I think that goes also back to the idea of James Gunn saying, like, this world is already established. There's not like a setting up of things. The world is what it is with metahumans and superheroes, and we are being thrust into it. So these people, this world that we live into is already lived in normally, naturally. The aspect of it being sci-fi magic, or not, he doesn't say sci-fi magic, but he says having that extra sprinkle of sci-fi fairy dust doesn't necessarily need to be added to it because it's already kind of engraved into this particular world. So the fact that there is sci-fi magic in this, again, goes to show me it's not just two dudes walking around in civilian clothing. There's going to be maybe aliens, metahumans, powers being utilized, technology being utilized, that all go into making this world very sci-fi. He says he was cautious about saying too much about this series. He says, I don't think I can tease that yet. You've talked about the rootedness with James Gunn. It's an extraordinary combination of cast. I've been on the set the last 4.5 weeks. The way the cast is landing is electric. I'm thrilled by who we've got here. I don't think DC fans will be in any way disappointed. I know James Gunn has already spoken about how excited he is, so watch this space. He also discussed the talent for Kyle Chandler, and Aaron. He says, I'm going to use slightly strange words when describing them, but the first word that comes to mind was authenticity. The next word is charm. These two you just want to hang out with. There's just no doubt. You want to hang with them. You want to go on that journey. Added to that, Kelly McDonald, who I've worked with before in Black Mirror, you get people who are just so classy and so busy inhabiting their roles. So you never doubt it. They're not on the outside. They're deep in those skins. Man, boy, I tell you, this brings up a whole nother level of excitement when I think about these two guys together. The camaraderie, the chemistry, I'm telling you, is off the charts. Aaron Pierre, if I'm not mistaken, I think he comes from Broadway or at least like theater stage. And that's like a whole nother level of acting. Like that's a whole nother level of being able to kind of get into the head of your character and completely embodying them. And the use of the words of authenticity, these characters feel real. They're not phoning it in. You don't see the actor being the character. All you see is sort of the character, the charm, right? I gotta think that their chemistry together is brilliant. If he's talking about the idea, like I want to go on this adventure with them together, you want to go on this journey, man. I, what are we talking about here? Like this show sounds like it's going to be absolutely incredible from a standpoint of not just a plot, but just the world building, the character work that they've been given, and then just this incredible world of sci-fi and tangibility that they've been able to create, where the world just feels so lived in and real. Man, I honestly cannot wait for this series. This article, above anything else that I feel like I've read, um, stands above them in the sense of really giving us a great mindset as to what is certainly to come for this show. And I'm really really excited for it. Like, granted, I say this all the time, right? Like, people are gonna market and push their show, and they're gonna talk good about it, right? Like, you're never gonna see any of these directors or writers say, what I filmed was like the biggest piece of crap, guys. Like, when you watch this episode, I'm so sorry. They're never gonna say that, right? So instead of the uplifting words that I pay attention to, what I really try and pay attention to is the things that everybody says that seem to be the same. Because I don't expect another director to have read the article or the interview that some other director talked about for this particular series. I don't expect all these writers and directors in the series to listen to every single James Gunn interview that's ever happened, or to an actor's interview that ever happened about this stuff, right? Like, they're focused on telling the story, and then they go do interviews certainly on their own. But the fact that some of these interviews have such cohesiveness in regards to the things about the series that stand out the most to them is what's exciting, because a lot of them are saying the same thing but in very different ways. It's not like we're getting them reading the same script and they're just vomiting it out to us. I've heard countless times of people talking about, I'm not big into superheroes, or I'm not big into the world of sci-fi, but coming into this world, I get it. I've heard tons of people talk about when they see the chemistry between Kyle Chandler and Aaron Pierre, boasting about it in very sort of different ways. I've never heard anybody else refer to it as authentic and charming before, right? So that's what I look for. Not just how much they're going to boast about the show, but the things that they say that line up directly with what everybody else is certainly saying. Those are the true things to take away from articles like this. And that's why I continue to get more and more excited, because the connective things are the things that definitely matter in regards to what's really going to stand out as the season certainly progresses. Yeah, man. I think this is special. When James Gunn says this is unlike any script that he's ever read before, I believe him. And when we have people that back up what they're directing in regards to what they're seeing on the page and it coming to life in front of them in certain ways, the fact that they are not skimming out on the sci-fi, I think they're talking about it in the sense of groundedness and the idea that this takes place on Earth. We are going to go on very much an emotional journey with these two men and truly understand who they are. But that's just one aspect of what this show is certainly going to be. And I think when you get people like a Sinestro in here, when you get already a world in which metahumans and heroes sort of already exist, it feels very inherent that the sci-fi aspects are just going to come along for the way for for are just going to come along also, but feel very much ingrained in what it already is instead of this big sci-fi flair. So I am really curious to see how this is going to work, but I have no doubts that this is going to be a great series, man. The more and more I read about it, the more I get hyped for it. Says thank you, Adam. See you next week. Have a good one, homie. Take care, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming through, Darth, as always, man. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts. Does the article that you just read along with me get you hyped for certainly what is to come when it comes to DCU Lanterns? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section box below. And with that out of the way, guys, we will move on to our next topic as we go to the world of video games. When it comes to video games, especially Nintendo, to certainly say the least, they're very protective of their IPs. I feel like it took us forever to even get a Super Mario animated movie. Years ago, we did get ourselves a live action movie, and we saw how that went back in the 90s. So they've probably been very trepidatious to try and tackle another Super Mario Brothers live action. But what they're not afraid to tackle, and one that I think they have been very much thinking long and hard on, is in fact The Legend of Zelda. We have had news before in the past that The Legend of Zelda is in fact a real thing in regards to a live action movie. It is in fact happening. Nintendo's going to be teaming up with Sony Pictures to go ahead and bring us a Legend of Zelda movie. But that's not the only thing that we've heard this week, as according to Variety.com, it now has a release date, or at least an idea as to when it certainly wants to release. So let's go ahead and dive into this article. I'm going to bring up this Variety article for us here. But this will give us a better sense of the direction in which we're going when it comes to this season, or this film in and of itself. So according to Variety, Legends of Zelda live action film sets a March 2027 theatrical release for Sony Pictures. So we're talking about 2 years from now. Hey, listen. The live action film adaptation of the Legend of Zelda movie franchise has set a theatrical release date. So it's not just March, it's March 26th. So literally 2 years from today, we will begin ourselves a live action Zelda film. The release date was unveiled Friday on Nintendo's new app, Nintendo Today, nearly a year and a half after the Zelda film was first announced in November 2023. At the time, Zelda series creator Shigeru Miyamoto confirmed plans for the live action on social media, sharing that the film will be produced by himself and Avi Arad. I think they have a great director in here, Wes Ball, the director of the Maze Runner trilogy and last summer's Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I think Wes Ball did fantastic in both of those films. Remains attached to helm the adaptation. Ball is also going to be the producer. Casting and story details remain in the works. It says, this is Miyamoto. I've been working on the live action film, The Legends of Zelda, for many years now with Avi Arad, who has produced many mega hit films. Miyamoto also wrote, I have asked Avi to produce this film for me, and we have now officially started development of the film with Nintendo itself heavily involved in the production. It will take time until its completion. I hope you look forward to it. First off, I love the fact that Shigeru Miyamoto is heavily involved in making this work. He says he's been working on the live action film for many years now, so he's been working meticulously in trying to bring this to the big screen. And I do personally love Miyamoto's storytelling. Plans for Zelda film gained momentum after Nintendo teamed with Universal Pictures and Illumination for Super Mario Brothers movie released back in 2023. And it pulled in $1.3 billion. Nintendo's IP is ready to be mined. I think it's about time that we finally get ourselves a Legend of Zelda. There's probably a couple other video games out there. Hell, give me a Star Fox, man. I really would love a Star Fox Nintendo movie, honestly. But the Legend of Zelda, you'll want to get right. It's one of those. It's been a minute since I've played Zelda games. I was a big fan of Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. I even played was it Windmaker? What was that damn other one for the Nintendo Wii? Can't remember off the top of my head right now. And then a lot of classic Zelda games when I was growing up with my Nintendo and Super Nintendo. So I used to be a really big Zelda fan. It's been a minute. I don't have a video game system right now, so I definitely have missed out on the most recent Zelda games. But right up there next to Super Mario, as far as other live action adaptations, Zelda certainly comes into play here. But I do appreciate Nintendo being protective about their IP, that they haven't just necessarily thrown it out there for any production studio to just make anything that they certainly want to. I think they understand the importance of their characters. The usage of Super Mario Brothers paid off because it made $1.3 billion, because they were so heavily attached to the making and the production of that as well. And I think you do the same thing here with Zelda. I think if Miyamoto has been working on this film, I think he's got an idea of the story that he certainly wants to tell. I am curious if he's bringing in another like screenplay writer to also write or flesh out the story that Miyamoto certainly has in mind for this, or if Miyamoto is really going to be like the script writer for it. I have no idea, but I will be curious to see if anybody else like adapts with Miyamoto is certainly doing here. But you want him involved. You want Nintendo involved along the way. I have my issues with Sony Pictures at times. I think with the Spider-Man universe, they've been very mediocre, if not terrible. But I do think when it comes to Sony's other pictures, they can be fairly good. And so I am hoping that by teaming with Sony Pictures here, Nintendo being heavily involved, I'm hoping that they can get themselves a really enjoyable Legends of Zelda film, and hopefully make another $1 billion, certainly at the box office. It's one of those things where I think we've been waiting such a long time for these characters to get thrusted into the small screen or even the big screen that I think people will come out to see it, especially if it's Nintendo and you've got just that name recognition and these character recognitions. I think if you can make a really compelling story, I would be curious to see who the director is that they're definitely going to be landing on at some point in time. But I do think that there is something exciting that this is certainly moving forward. So the fact that they are looking to release this in about 2 years, I would assume that maybe you're going to start looking for casting announcements this summer. Maybe try and get in front of the cameras by the end of summer or beginning of fall time, perhaps. I don't know how much special effects is certainly going to go into making this movie a possibility, but I got to assume casting and film will in fact be rolling at some point in time this year for Legends of Zelda, and that to me is really, really exciting. But as long as Nintendo keeps a close eye on how production is going and has a big involvement in this, I think we're in for a surprise. So I'm excited, man. I need to get back into gaming. I just need to get back into gaming, but consoles these days are just so expensive. There's a part of me that thinks that it's just going to continue to get more and more expensive. I had a first generation Xbox One, and that crapped out on me maybe like 3-4 years ago. And even just prior to that, I hadn't really been playing in about a year. So I'm maybe like 4 or 5 years removed from like actually playing the video. I think the last video game I legit played was not the most recent Star Wars game with Cal Kestis, but the first one. It was a Jedi Survivor. Was that it? Or Jedi Outcast? I can't remember now off the top of my head. That was like one of the last games that I played. So I need to get me a new video game system. They're just so damn expensive. Maybe I can manage to get a Nintendo at least and get on board with Legends of Zelda before this movie drops. But look, guys, I want to know your thoughts. Legends of Zelda update March 26th, 2027. It will, in fact, be here as long as there's no hiccups. I definitely want to know your guys' thoughts on all this. Let your thoughts be known in the comment section box below. All right, guys. And with that story out of the way, um, Marcelino, I don't play video games anymore because consoles are too expensive. So I just watch the cutscenes on YouTube if they have a good story. I feel you, man. I feel you. They're way too expensive these days. Um, we're talking about what, like $500, $600. I remember the time when they were like $300. I could easily say, I don't want to say easily save up for that when I used to work full time at my old job, but those are much easier to come by. But now I got to pay $500, $600 for a console. Hell, maybe even more if like they're short and I got to like hawk one off of online or something like that. Like it's just too damn expensive, man. Blossom, what's up, Blossom? Zelda being live action. Holy Rich Foley. Yeah, I'm excited for Zelda live action. I really am. I really am. It's a long time coming. I would be curious if they have him talk or not. But yeah, going back to what you were saying, Marcelino, I have no problem watching cutscenes. I missed being a part of the story. You know, I've got a whole trilogy. Well, not a whole trilogy. I got two more like Tomb Raider games for my Xbox. I never got a chance to finish, and I've been really wanting to play these damn Tomb Raider games that I got because I like being a part of the story. It's just getting to those, it just feels earned to me. But I definitely have certainly watched my fair share of cutscenes. Blossom, I've always been curious about Zelda as well as the world of Hyrule. Yeah, it's going to be beautiful to kind of see um, come together, the world of Hyrule for sure. All right, guys, with that out of the way, we got two more topics that we're going to be breaking down for you guys today. As Buffy the Vampire Slayer is back in the news. I was looking for like a fifth topic to talk about here today, or sixth topic to talk about here today. And I decided to go ahead and bring this one up because I found it interesting in regards to the speed in which the development of this show is certainly happening. It just felt like yesterday where um, Sarah Michelle Gellar was expressing her excitement for the idea of like, oh my God, I didn't think this day would ever come. I've always kept this so close to my heart. I didn't want to do a remake. I just didn't think it was possible. And now Chloe Zhao tells me, shows me an incredible story. And we've just spent days going through this and building out this world. And holy crap, man, this movie is now, or this series is now into casting already. I mean, the speed in which this is happening, I think truly is kind of what's blowing me away. As Sarah Michelle Gellar is going to be teaming up with Chloe Zhao, at least for the first episode or for the pilot episode, to bring the new Buffy Vampire Slayer reboot to life. But we did get ourselves a brand new article recently from tvline.com that has some new character details that could potentially be popping up for this brand new series. So let's go ahead and dive into this for you guys, y'all. This is, again, tvline.com. Where did it go? I just had it. There we go. Buffy reboot, first details on new Slayer. This is an exclusive report for them. As Buffy the Vampire sequel series inches closer to getting a pilot order at Hulu, the continuation is starting to gather its cast. The potential reboot, which likely will find original series lead Sarah Michelle Gellar reprising her role as a recurring guest star. Okay, recurring guest star. So she's not going to be in every episode, but she will be, I would assume, in there for pivotal episodes, probably like the pilot, maybe a mid-season finale, maybe another finale at some point in time. But yeah, as a recurring guest star, so she seems like she's going to be popping in and out. It's said to be focused on a new Slayer and the next chapter in the Buffyverse. That new Slayer, TV Line can exclusively report, seems to skew more Willow than Buffy. Per preliminary and subject to change intel, she's a cerebral 16-year-old named Nova, though we're fairly certain that name is just a placeholder, who is very smart and a bit of a loner. So they're going for about a 16-year-old in here to play the new heir, if you will. So yeah, it says per preliminary and subject to change intel. So let's just take this with, things can change here. This is early in the process. She's a cerebral 16-year-old who is very smart and a bit of a loner. Her buddies, aka who've uh, those who would have been considered the Scoobies in the original series, include Hugo, an out and proud nerd who comes from money, and Gracie, a young expert on vampires who's an acolyte of Geller's Buffy. Interesting. Casting is currently underway on all three roles. Nora Zuckerman and Lila Zuckerman from Poker Face, great series by the way on Peacock, are attached as writers, showrunners, and executive producers on the potential reboot. Chloe Zhao, who won her directing for Nomadland, is attached to direct and executive produce. At least I believe that she's only set to direct the pilot. So yeah, we've got our Scoobies part of the gang, Hugo and Gracie, a young expert on vampires who's an acolyte of Geller's Buffy, and Hugo, an out and proud nerd who comes from money, to be attached or working alongside 16-year-old who is very smart and a bit of a loner. So yeah, the pieces for the Buffy reboot are certainly coming together. Yeah, I was never look, I'll be honest, I was never a huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I know it was a huge Joshua Whedon series. It was on for years. It got its spinoff in Angel. I remember a lot of people watched this show, man. A lot of people. I can't remember what my counter to watching Buffy was. Like what else was on at the time that I was watching during Buffy's dominance. I don't even know how many seasons this show certainly went on for, but everybody in high school was talking about this like every week. Did you see Buffy? Did you watch Buffy? I mean, I was always amazed as to how huge the fan base for Buffy the Vampire Slayer was. I was more of a Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie guy. I remember watching the original movie countless times, very much a cult follower for that particular film, but I never was able to get into this series itself. But I am eager to kind of see what they will do with it for a reboot series. I think this is a series that certainly is begging to certainly be brought back. And I'm glad that Sarah Michelle Gellar found something, a way back into this world to revamp it for a more modern time. So we'll see what happens here. But again, I think for me, what surprises me the most is just the speed in which all of this is truly happening. You know what I mean? It just felt like yesterday that they were just going over the details in the notes, but they're very much further along than that as of right now. So I'm sure we'll probably get some casting news here within the next several weeks. And we'll definitely be sharing it with you guys as well. But look, I want to know your thoughts. Buffy the Vampire Slayer moving along, getting ready to go ahead and putting together a pilot for the series as a whole over on Hulu. It'll be interesting to see if Hulu certainly picks them up or not. Is my computer just freeze on me, dog? Okay, there we go. I thought my computer froze on me for a minute. My bad. All right. And with that out of the way, we got one more topic for you guys here today. As we've talked about this before in the past, we've already known that Scooby-Doo was set to go ahead and get itself a live action series, or at least it was in the works. Greg Berlanti is in fact attached to a Scooby-Doo live action series. It was being shopped around for quite some time, and it eventually landed over at Hulu. We didn't know how far in development they were certainly going to get. It was just an idea at the time, one that I'm really kind of fond of, to seeing how far it's going to develop. But we do have some news in regards to the Scooby-Doo live action series, as it's moving forward. It is in fact moving forward over at Netflix. Let's go ahead and dive into the details here. We've gotten our next step to this series, in fact, becoming a reality. It's been a minute, I think, since we've seen the Scooby-Doo gang live action. I always thought that these were like the only two movies that have come out, but apparently since then, they've had additional movies that I have not been made aware of. But we're going back to the roots. It says another high-profile casting search begin. Netflix has given an 8-episode series order to a live-action reimagining of Warner Brothers. So they're giving it the green light. Hasbro is giving it a green light. They probably must have liked the scripts that they certainly were seeing. Not only did they acquire it a couple of months back, but now they've given it the green light for 8 episodes straight to series order to a live action reimagining. Also, just to remind you guys, Greg Berlanti is also responsible for the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which went on for quite a few seasons, if I'm not mistaken, over on Netflix. So Berlanti Productions definitely has a relationship with them, and they certainly trust them in that regards. It says the Scooby-Doo cartoon that will track down the origins of the famous mystery-solving teen gang and their beloved dog. So this is the coming together of the Scooby-Doo gang here. Very much an origin series, to say the least. Written by Midnight Radio's Josh Applebaum and Scott Rosenberg from Cowboy Bebop, based on characters created by Hanna-Barbera. The yet untitled Scooby-Doo series crafts an origin story on how the Mystery Inc. group got together and first team up to crack the haunting case that started it all. During their final summer at camp, old friends Shaggy and Daphne get embroiled in a haunting mystery surrounding a lonely lost Great Dane puppy that may have been a witness to a supernatural murder. Together with their pragmatic and scientific townie Velma and the strange but ever so handsome new kid Freddy, they set out to solve the case that is pulling each of them into a creepy nightmare that threatens to expose all of their secrets. So it seems as though Shaggy and Daphne are already old friends. They come across a Great Dane puppy who witnessed some sort of murder, and they wind up getting the townie Velma and the strange new kid Freddy to solve this case. Applebaum and Rosenberg serve as showrunners on the series. And then Greg Berlanti and others will certainly produce this. It says Mystery Inc. is back in business. We're excited to bring Scooby-Doo to TV as a live action series for the first time. The beloved franchise has had an impact on pop culture that is undeniable. Its rich and universal themes of friendship that generations of fans have long embraced, together with creative powerhouses over at Berlanti Productions and Midnight Radio, we're committed to delighting longtime fans and opening up a world of groovy adventures for a new era of meddling kids. To pick up assures Berlanti Productions' continuous presence on Netflix, as they had the drama You is coming to an end next month. So yeah, that's another show that they were really, really big fans of. So yeah, You and the Chilling Adventures. So Netflix definitely trusts Berlanti Productions for sure. But I think this is a big win. 8-episode series to Scooby-Doo. Yeah, this is a big win for me personally. Like I will say this. I'm a big fan of Berlanti Productions. I know he's had a lot of work with his stuff over at the CW. I do love him building universes and things like that. But I think Scooby-Doo Gang is ready for modernization here. I love the idea of this being an origin story also. And I just trust Berlanti and them to be able to get into this world. The fact that Netflix doesn't even necessarily go, well, I don't know if Netflix ever really does like a pilot order or a pilot season, in the sense of, I think they recently just announced a pilot for like one of these shows, which is like a rarity. Oh, A Different World. That's right. The classic sitcom A Different World. Netflix just ordered them to do a pilot for the show to see if it's something that they want to pick up. It's not something that Netflix ever really does. They tend to just kind of see what they like in the script, and then boom, they just get themselves a series order. And that certainly seems to be the case here as well. So like I don't remember, like when it comes to classic Hanna-Barbera Scooby-Doo, I don't remember how the gang actually initially got started. I don't was Daphne and Shaggy friends to begin with originally? I can barely remember the movies. It's been such a long time since I've checked out the movies for myself. So I don't remember exactly what the origin stories were, but I think Netflix is going to be a great home for it. I'm down for a supernatural sort of murder mystery in here, but I think this could be really fun times and bringing something to a more modern audience. So yeah, I think this is a big win for Netflix and a big pickup for them. So yeah, I'm kind of curious to know what you guys think in the long term. What's your level of excitement for this? Because I'm kind of pumped for it, honestly. No release date yet as to when this series is certainly going to go ahead and drop, but I would assume casting will probably begin relatively soon. Also, a lot of casting certainly going on these days, man. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in regards to Scooby-Doo getting an 8-episode series. This is actually going to happen. If anything, I will be curious to see, one, how many seasons we get out of this. And how they pull off this supernatural murder mystery, if this is really going to be supernatural or if it's going to be something in the sense of like there's usually always a human under the mask in some sense, like somebody doing some great illusions or whatever the case may be to make it act or pretend like it's kind of supernatural, whatever it is that's kind of happening. And I don't know, I'm so used to Scooby-Doo being like a case of the week sort of thing. This doesn't feel like it. It feels like one case over a span of 8 episodes and not like 8 cases over a span of 8 episodes. So if anything, I would assume each season that they wind up getting, in fact, being maybe one case as they try and solve the mystery here. But we'll see, man. Expect casting to happen soon. And then after casting, I expect Scooby-Doo Halloween costumes to soar this Halloween for sure, as everybody's going to want to be Scooby-Doo characters. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts on the 8-episode season pickup for Scooby-Doo at Netflix. And that will do it for all of our honorable mentions. Oh, you know what? I didn't think I set this up. I did not set it up properly. Hold on one second here. All right. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into the next segment of this show.
And now, everybody, it is time for live viewer questions.
And if you've ever want to submit a live viewer question over, it's pretty simple. All you do is go over to our YouTube channel. I'll go ahead and show this to you. Every Saturday afternoon or evening, we like to go ahead and drop a brand new post for you guys for our live viewer questions. So just go over to our YouTube channel, click on that post tab as you see right there, and voila, live viewer questions. I'm going to go ahead and get this sorted for us so we can knock these out today. Let me see if I get my headphones on for this music. I want to put music on, but I don't want it to interfere with the actual mic here. So give me one moment as I get this set up here. Okay. To get together here. Give me one moment, y'all. All right. Let's see here. Live viewer questions. What do we got today? Marcelino, always coming through. You have said you stopped watching Legends of Tomorrow because you weren't a fan of the kind of comedic direction that went in. However, when does the opposite happen? Basically, when do you want a show to not take itself seriously and always be stupid comedy? Um, I guess to me, it really is dependent on the nature of the characters. If Also, if the music is too loud, let me know, unless you guys can hear me over it. I just didn't find, with the exception of maybe one or two characters there for like comedic purposes, that I don't mind. If you can add levity to a serious show, I think that's perfect. I have no problem with like a good balance. Um, and so I think for me, when I first joined Legends of Tomorrow, I just didn't see, even though they were side characters from Arrow, I never looked at them as comedic characters. And so I think that's what always rubbed me the wrong way, is that they wind up changing those characters into something that they originally were not. And I look, I get it. I mean, every character certainly goes through growth and whatnot, but it just seemed like it just became too much comedy, and I wanted more superhero drama out of it. And so maybe it worked for some people, it just didn't necessarily work for me. So basically, when do you want a show to not take itself seriously and always be stupid comedy? When your characters ask for that. When the characters that you're using suggest that that's the type of tone that you're gonna get, then I'm okay with it. But taking serious characters and then turning them into stupid comedy, it just didn't necessarily work for me. So if the characters ask for it, then I'm okay with that happening. What were your thoughts on the initial rumors towards the plot of Venom: The Last Dance? The rumors that were that after returning from the MCU, Eddie and Venom learned that they die fighting Spider-Man and begin hunting him so they don't die. The problem is that Peter Parker in the universe is 10 years old. So after this, they go from wanting to kill Peter to protecting him. The main villain would be Toxin, whose motives would be to kill Peter, as well as creating a whole horde of symbiotes. One of those symbiotes would have been Scream, played by Juno Temple, who had been Eddie's new love interest. And finally, Chiwetel Ejiofor would have played Orwell Taylor, leading the jury who would hunt down the symbiote, seeking revenge after his son died at the hands of Carnage. Some people think this is better than the actual movie. Others think it's worse. The first half of that premise is odd to me. The idea of them protecting Peter Parker in their universe, the idea of them wanting to go from killing Peter to protecting him, I think is pretty cool. But the idea of wanting to kill Peter in the first place, like, I don't, especially like Eddie, like, even if they learned that they die fighting Spider-Man, the idea of them coming to terms with, well, let's just hunt him down and kill him so they don't die, doesn't feel like something that Eddie would go along with openly. Like, maybe that's something that Venom would push for, but the idea of Eddie going along with that feels a little bit odd to me. This is where I think maybe like Madam Web and Venom universe could have potentially have met, right? Like, if they wind up saving the birth of Peter Parker in this movie, then maybe have those same characters show up in like a Venom movie and them continue on, sort of thing, like years later. This is probably where like a Madam Web movie might have actually worked and made sense to connect to a bigger universe, but that's not what they decided to do. So in some aspects, maybe that's what they were kind of initially going for. Maybe they were like, all right, we're gonna do Madam Web, we're gonna set up the Peter Parker is being born, this is gonna be 10 years later when Venom and them come across him, and now we're gonna have them protect Peter. That concept I think is pretty cool, but the idea of initially knowing that they were gonna die fighting Spider-Man, that feels weird to me. But the notion of having to come across Peter and protecting him, I think that sounds pretty cool. I don't know if it would have been better or not, but I trusted Venom: The Last Dance to be better. The trailers definitely got me hooked, and highly anticipating that movie, thinking, oh man, maybe Sony really learned their lesson. And yeah, no. So I don't think it would have made the movie better or worse. I think Sony still would have flubbed it. But the connections to um, influences from Carnage, building off of what you've already established in the previous Venom movies. If the Madam Web movie was successful and we bring the parents over from Peter and continue that kind of story, like there are aspects to this that do sound good, that I probably would have been open to. But I wouldn't have trusted them to make it work either. I had never heard those original rumors though. Appreciate you bringing them up to me. Mattel is trying to make Rock and Sock and Robots movie, and I know you are against that because it feels more like a cash grab. But I have an idea of how they can not only make a Rock and Sock and Robots work, but also meaningful. I would personally make the movie center around the cycle of violence and how old family grudges can negatively impact the current generations. My story would be that Blue and Red have been fighting each other for years due to their respective families' long-standing hatred towards each other. Red and Blue at first enjoy their fighting each other for their family's old grudge, but it isn't until a draw happens when they get a chance to talk to each other and learn that they have a lot in common and learn that there's more to life than violence. Towards the end, they not only come to the realization that the old family grudges are stupid, but also of their feelings about their endorsing their family grudges were lies they told themselves because they felt like it was the only way to make their families proud since their expectations were given to them since they were kids. The families then realized that they were feeding into a cycle of violence and then all agreed to seek family counseling. The movie ends with both families seeking counseling and emphasizing the trauma. Hatred, old family wounds are not something that can just be fixed in a snap, but it's a work in progress and it takes time to fully heal. I chose these themes to represent a cycle of violence and how it affects future generations negatively. What do you think? I kind of dig it, man. I kind of dig it. I don't really know what the premise of Rock and Sock and Robots is right now. I feel like I might have read it, and I think when I read it, I'm like, oh, this is just the other movie that we had with Hugh Jackman. But I think if you change the premise around, clearly you have the robots. Like, I dig it, Marcelino. I'd be down for that, man. I really would. Peg C, what are your thoughts on the new live action Scooby-Doo being produced? I'm excited for it, man. I want to see these characters in live action again, especially in series form. I think Netflix can do something really fun with it, and I'm a big fan of Berlanti. I tried to get into Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, and I think I watched maybe the first season and just never kind of went back to it. But I do like the style of Berlanti Productions, sort of that young adult vibe. But I'll have to see like the first trailer and whatnot. Like I hope it really leads into did Berlanti Productions help out with the Archie show? I can't remember if they did or not. But I want to see it take itself seriously. I want clearly some young adult drama and some jokes to give it balance, but I want them to take the mystery and the solving of the mystery sort of seriously. I don't mind hijinks and things like that. But I do want them to take themselves seriously and giving us a compelling story where when the reveal happens, it's like, so I hope they take themselves seriously. What are your thoughts on the new live action movie Legends of Zelda getting a release date? One, I think it shows how far they've come in regards to a script and the confidence that they have to be able to go ahead and set a release date already. So for me, I think that's a really big win. I think the fact that Shigeru Miyamoto has been taking his time with this, I think sends a good message. I'm not too confident in Sony Pictures though, but I think the heavy involvement of Miyamoto and Nintendo here might sort of help right the ship and send them in the right direction. I'll be curious to see who they did get a director. They got a great director in Wes Ball, who did Maze Runner along with the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So I think directing wise, they scored big here. And I am curious who's the writer's going to be. Who's going to be the one to kind of do the screenplay for what I'm assuming Miyamoto wind up writing for it if he's saying he's been working on it. So maybe they've got We'll see who the writer ends up being, though. But I'm excited for it. Are you looking forward to the Darkwing Duck reboot? It is being developed for Disney Plus. There's more to this for some reason, but I can't. Let me see if I can pull it up another way here. Give me a second. I'm trying to find the rest of your question here. Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg will executive produce the project. Tad Stones revealed that he is involved in a reboot as a creative consultant. Bring it on, man. Bring it on. You said Seth Rogen, Darkwing Duck, and Tad Stones, and I'm there. I've been really wanting to see another Darkwing Duck sort of reboot. I wonder if they're going to go classic animation style, if they're going to do the animation completely differently. But let's get dangerous. I'm so ready, bro. I'm so ready. I didn't even hear about that before. I'm going to have to look up some information now on it. The most talented man in the world is back. What's up, man? Imagine the United States governed by the abundant optimism of SpongeBob SquarePants and the joyful ignorance of Patrick Scar. The Oval Office transformed into a pineapple-shaped desk would likely be filled with bubble-blowing sessions and jellyfish-catching expeditions instead of policy meetings. National security briefings might involve deciphering encrypted messages found in Krabby Patty secret formulas, and economic strategies could revolve around the optimal distribution of imaginary pies. Foreign policy could be handled, but ultimately chaotic enthusiasm. The national anthem might be replaced with the fun song, and the White House lawn could become the world's largest bubble bath. While the scenario provides endless comedic fodder, it also prompts serious questions about leadership. Could the unconstrained optimism and unwavering friendship of SpongeBob and Patrick translate into effective governance? Would their childlike wonder or lack of strategic thinking lead to national prosperity or other chaos? And the real-world political landscape, would their inherent goodness be enough to overcome the complexities and challenges of leading a nation, or would their lack of practical experience and political awareness ultimately doom their presidency? You know, when I first listened to this, at first I'm like, oh my gosh, this would be just absolutely horrible. Like, we would get nothing done. But the more I think about it, one, I would be curious to see like who he surrounds himself with. Like, if it's just SpongeBob and Patrick, but they have like actual political officials around them, I do think that there's a level of being able to reel them in that certainly might work. But I have a feeling that like their enthusiasm, their joyful ignorance, and abundance of optimism, I think would, well, maybe not the joyful ignorance, but the joyful aspect and the abundant optimism of SpongeBob would be able to like cut through the BS at times. You know what I mean? Like they may have these ridiculous things that they want to do, but then they might have somebody that like reels them in and is like, okay, maybe let's think a little bit smaller, more like realistic, you know, like the bubble bath in the front, like that won't work. But then I do think as they do that, his abundant optimism would then sort of not change their minds into making that happen, but I think that would then fuel them to want to actually do sort of real good things. You know, like I think SpongeBob and Patrick could really talk to people in such a like a clear and easy sort of way of understanding the simplicities of how things can be, instead of making it as difficult as we try to be sometimes. And I think there might be people that kind of come on board to kind of changing their mindset and being a little bit more optimistic. So it might start off kind of chaotic, but I do think once reeled in, they can do some convincing, and it can lead to some really good like optimal changes for people in the world. You know, having people have viewing things a little bit differently instead of just the political lens all the time. So yeah, I think so. I'd be down for that. My friends call me Joseph. Thomas F. Wilson's iconic portrayal of bully Biff Tannen is made even more complex by the fact that Wilson himself was a target of bullying in his youth due to asthma and a slender build, providing him with unique understanding of the victims of such behavior. He navigated the challenge of playing a detestable character while maintaining authenticity, even improving memorable lines and demonstrating sensitivity to his co-stars' reactions to his portrayal. Despite the character's enduring portrayal and his continued reprisal of the role in the various media, Wilson remains humble and grounded, seeing himself as a working artist and even humorously addressing repetitive fan questions with the question song, including Wilson's experience. What are the psychological implications of individuals who have been bullied taking on roles as bullies in television or film? What's the psychological implications of individuals who have been bullied taking on roles as bully in television and films? I don't know. I think that's a good question. First off, I do love Thomas Wilson. I really do. I've seen him in one or two panels before out here at Fan Expo Dallas. I think he actually might be out here this year. I think they're doing a big 40th anniversary or something like that for Back to the Future. I think they have a lot of actors coming out here to Fan Expo Dallas this year, so he might be in there. But I did watch the question song, and it did make me laugh for sure. I do love how humble that he is. But what are the psychological implications of individuals who have been bullied taking on roles as bullies in television and film? Okay, so two things. I think that's interesting. One, if we're talking about the implications of individuals, psychological implications for them, maybe I don't want to say this is a form of like PTSD, but maybe this is a form of them being able to, not to say that being, well, I guess maybe for some people being bullied, maybe that type of stuff stays with you over time, maybe in how you approach people or how you view people kind of in the world. But maybe if you've been bullied and now you have to take on that role as a bully, maybe in some way, maybe it allows you to, I don't want to say get in their shoes and understand, but maybe it helps you get over some of the trauma that you might have experienced in your life, right? Like maybe it teaches you how to handle those situations later on in life, or be able to help other people with the concept of being bullied sort of in their life, now that you've kind of worked your way through it a little bit. The fact that he had to play, like you said, a detestable character while maintaining authenticity, and demonstrating sensitivity to his co-stars' reactions to his portrayal, right? Like he clearly understood what bullying, the effects that bullying could have on people, and he didn't want his own co-stars to have to kind of go through that. So there's a sense of self-awareness of realizing the trauma that you've been through, and then having to portray that trauma and having to maybe navigate some of his own personal difficulties, because I'm sure that stuff kind of comes back, especially if if you're a method actor, or if you're just somebody that really gets deep into that role of becoming the thing that you kind of hate. I think there has to be some sort of self-awareness and inner workings of the things that you've went through in the past, maybe having to forgive some people, so that you personally don't hold on to that as you work through the process. And the fact that I think Wilson demonstrating sensitivity to his co-star's reaction, I think shows that he went through some level of processing of what happened to him growing up as a kid. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, that's a good question. But yeah, thank you for that, Joseph. Jessica Friedman, who you'd like to cast in the new Scooby-Doo live action series? And once Disney Plus gets the TV rights of Power Rangers, would you like to see all the past seasons go to Disney Plus? Well, that's a good question. Yes, on the second part, I think that would be great. I don't know. They do have the distribution rights. Disney does have the distribution. Well, I would assume they have the distribution rights for Power Rangers, considering the fact that they are going to be distributing it on Disney Plus. What else that deal comes with, though, I'm not quite sure. I don't know if that includes the past seasons as well, or if they're just going to keep their past seasons on YouTube or Tubi or whatever it is that they're currently showing. I have no idea where the past seasons are right now. I would assume that they're still on YouTube, but maybe they've moved them since then. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, if the past seasons are on Tubi or Fubu or wherever the fuck they're at right now. I can't keep up. Fubo. I don't know. I don't know half these streaming services, free streaming services anymore. But let me know. As far as casting, I haven't even gotten that far into thinking, to be quite frank with you. I would be okay with a young up and coming actor that I'm cool with, like potential nobodies. Yeah, I'm cool with like completely new actors if that's the case. Power of the Morphing Grid. The complex legacy of Trey, the Gold Ranger. The introduction of Trey of Triforia as the Gold Ranger in Power Rangers Zeo was a notable event, utilizing triplets Tom, Tim, and Ted DiFilippo for the unmorphed portrayals, with Tom as the primary suit actor. Brad Hawkins provides Trey's voice, a decision by Haim Saban, according to Ted himself. Saban's disapproval of Ted's New York accent, despite a significant 7-part introduction and a planned spin-off, the character's trajectory became complicated. The return of Austin St. John as Jason, who then took over the Gold Ranger mantle, further impacted the original actor's connection to the role. Trey's final in-suit appearance was in Super Mega Force, but off-screen. Controversy arose due to Ted's public struggle with mental health and feelings of being unrecognized as the true Gold Ranger. Yeah, I've seen his video rants. I've seen some of his video rants. Like, somebody needs to get this man some help, like, honestly. And I don't mean that like disrespectfully, but to be able to be a grown-ass man and navigate his feelings, for sure. His video rants express resentment over his voice being dubbed, feeling overshadowed by Brad Hawkins and Austin St. John, and a demand for special treatment at conventions, seemingly forgetting his past appearances. The situation has unfortunately strained his brother's relationship with the character and the fandom. The controversy surrounding Ted DiFilippo experiences highlight the often unseen challenges faced by actors who portray beloved characters, particularly those whose voices or physical presence are layered or replaced. How does the use of multiple actors for a single character, include voice actors and super performers, impact the individual's actor's sense of ownership and recognition within a franchise? Furthermore, considering Ted's public struggle and feelings being overshadowed, what responsibility do fans in the franchise have in acknowledging and supporting the individuals behind iconic mass roles, especially when their experiences diverge from the idolized perception of their characters? Two good questions. So how does the use of multiple actors for a single character, including voice actors and suit performers, impact the individual's actor's sense of ownership and recognition within a franchise? Look, how does it impact the individual's actor's sense of ownership and recognition within a franchise? There are a couple of examples here I can think of. First one that comes to mind for me is Ahsoka from Star Wars, most notably known as Ashley Eccleston as the voice actor, and then eventually gone on to be portrayed by Rosario Dawson. You know, I know fans were really up in arms in the sense of, like, why not have Ashley be Ahsoka? She voiced her for so many years. I mean, where there's just, voice acting is just not the same as acting, right? That's just something that people have to kind of understand. And I'm sure there's probably a level of ownership that Ashley has on the character, and rightfully so, in the sense that she put that character on the map. And because she's had such a long impact, she does get recognized by the franchise all the time. And I'm sure that level of ownership might have gotten tested when Rosario Dawson came in. But I think this also includes the idea, like, you also have to be humble, you know, and you also have to understand the situation that you're kind of put in. And I think Ashley and Rosario have both been very humble and very appreciative of each other's work. And whatever feelings Ashley might have had about it, I don't think she put that negativity out in the world. You know, maybe she might have talked about being displeased with it, but I don't think it was ever a force to be reckoned with in the sense of like, oh, you really pissed off Ashley. So I think there's a level of being humble, understanding the impact, like, and just being able to be confident in the work that you have done as this character, and solidifying that people literally recognize you as this character. That's got to be humbling in and of itself. But I think also having that level of self-awareness of, I'm great as a voice actor, people know me as that, but I've done my part in building up this character, and now it's time to pass the baton to somebody else to build off of what it is that I helped kind of create. And I think Ashley does a really good job of being humble about that and showcasing how something like that should be done. You can also go back and look at like The Mandalorian, right? People, Pedro Pascal gets all the praise of being the Mandalorian, when in reality, he's barely in the suit and he does mostly all the voice work, right? There are like two other actors that do not get recognized, but are the suit performers. But I don't see them out there complaining that they don't get recognition, right? Like, I think they know their place, and I don't mean like disrespectfully, but they know that they were hired to be suit actors, to be suit performers, to be stunt doubles. Like, that is literally your job, especially when you're playing a character that's sort of like under a mask and barely takes his mask off. I think there has to be a level of, again, self-awareness as to what your job requires of you, and being okay with the idea that you are not being represented face-wise, that somebody else's face is being put onto your body in a sense, right? Or being recognized in that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Mandalorian suit actors have come out and been like, I'm tired of this shit. Pedro's not the real Mandalorian. I'm the real Mandalorian. Give me the break. Like, I don't think I've ever read that or seen that happen. If that has happened before, please let me know in the comment section box, or the live chat. But there's a level of self-awareness and humble pie that you have to kind of eat at times in order to do that. So as far as the impact on the individual's actor's sense of ownership, you have to own the role that you're given, and being okay with the idea of understanding that you're just a piece of the bigger puzzle here. And I think, in the case of The Mandalorian, I do think that the Lucasfilm, at least, and the fans recognize the impact that those people have, and they do give them praise. I don't think that they're out there at conventions and stuff like, oh, I'm the guy under the armor. Like, I don't think it's to that point. But I think those are two really good examples of people that do those jobs that are thankless, that don't get recognition, but are humble enough to understand and be self-aware of the job that they signed up for, and understand that they're a bigger piece of the pie that helps this character continue to grow, and nothing can take that away from them. And I think that's really what's important. What responsibility do fans in the franchise have in acknowledging and supporting the individuals? I think the franchise does have a little bit of support, but again, when we're talking about Trey here, I mean, it's been so long since I've watched Zio, but Trey to me is like a blip on the radar. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he might as well just be a special guest star. Like he's literally a blip on the radar to me. What responsibility do fans in the franchise have in acknowledging and supporting the individuals behind iconic masked roles, especially with their experience diverge from the especially when their experiences diverge from the idolized perception of the characters? I mean, I don't. When you've played such a small role in the franchise like that, I don't know what responsibilities. I don't think the fans have any responsibility to these people. The franchise, maybe you can have an argument in the sense of like, hey, you were here originally, but having you at all these other conventions, giving into all your demand. Like you have to have some self-awareness as to what your key role was in the big aspect of 28 seasons of Power Rangers, bro. Like, I'm sorry to tell you, bro, you were literally a blip. You were literally a blip. Okay. And I'm not saying that the franchise should treat him as a blip, but at least give him, a booth, help him set up his booth, maybe an airplane flight out there or something like that, right? Like, I don't know, man. I just don't, when you're a blip like that, to me, I just don't know if people should go above and beyond, and you acknowledging and wanting to be, demanding all these things for, like, to me, that just doesn't, it's just not cool, man. There's just no self-awareness, no humbleness behind it. And when you have that sort of level of none of those, you get fans like me that are just like, screw this guy. Like, you got to be humble. You got to be humble. I'm sure it's a thankless job, but when you're a blip, you got to be humble about it if you want to get recognized like that. But that's just me. If I'm fucked up for saying that or wrong, let me know. Byron, what's up, Byron? Appreciate that. 17 Samurai, what's up, 17? Good to see you in here as always. Arjit, what's up, Arjit? Yo, what happened with Null? When will he become the main villain, bro? I think that's out of the window now, unfortunately, Arjit. I don't see Null ever coming back. I mean, look, maybe Spider-Man 4 is the saving grace behind it all. I don't know. I would say that would be like the last hurrah. If there's any chance of Null, it would probably be Spider-Man 4. But outside of that, nah, they're not putting him in no Avengers movie. They're not putting him in no big ass crossover. Sony just did a terrible job of building this universe and trying to make things connect. I don't see it happening at all, Arjit. Maybe if we ever get a Venom 4, the Spider-Man universe for Sony right now is very much focused on the Spider-Man movies that they have kind of coming out right now. I do expect them at some particular point in time to revisit their Spider-Man universe. I just don't know if they will jump on board that storyline beat of Null based off of just the poor reception that some of these movies have kind of gone. I almost feel like, I don't want to say reboot, but I think you really have to come with fresh new ideas and a game plan, and it doesn't feel like they've had it. So that's just how I feel about it. Arjit, I don't know if that's I don't see him becoming a big thing, unfortunately. Maybe I'm wrong though. Let's see here. Other questions. Marky Parko. I don't think it showed all of your question either, so I'll look it up another way. Andrew Garfield's tenure as Spider-Man in the Amazing Spider-Man films, though often overshadowed, present a uniquely compelling and underrated interpretation of the iconic character. The franchise distinguished itself by delving into Peter Parker's family history, offering a grittier and more realistic portrayal of his high school experience, and faithfully adapting Gwen Stacy as a central and intelligent love interest with genuine chemistry with Peter. The films also paid close attention to the unsettling nature of Peter's transformation and the profound emotional impact of Uncle Ben's death of both Peter and his community. Subtle nods to the comics further enriched the experiences of longtime fans. While Amazing Spider-Man 2 faced criticisms on its overabundance of villains, the emotional weight of Gwen's tragic death and the pivotal moment from the source material left a lasting impression. The subsequent appearance of Andrew Garfield in No Way Home provided a powerful and unexpected redemption arc for his version of the character. His interactions with the other Spider-Man and his crucial role in saving Zendaya's MJ offered a sense of closure and allowed him to grapple with the past trauma and perceived failures of his own universe. This not only served as fan service, but also retroactively enhanced the emotional depth of his earlier films. Considering the narrative choices made in both Amazing Spider-Man films and Garfield's No Way Home, how significant that the exploration of Peter's backstory ultimately contributed to the overall emotional resonance of his Spider-Man narrative compared to the other live-action iterations. I will say, outside of Tom Holland Spider-Man, I think Tobey, along with Andrew Garfield's backstory, was always really explored very well Um, the one aspect about Andrews, though, is his revisiting of his father's work and learning more about his father and things like that. That I always found really compelling from the Amazing Spider-Man films. The first Amazing Spider-Man movie, I'm still to this day a big fan of. It's really the Amazing Spider-Man 2 that feels a little bit too messy for me, but I always loved the relationship between Gwen and Peter in here. I thought they had really great chemistry. I always liked Andrew Garfield more as Spider-Man than Peter. He was just too cool of a Peter Parker for me. But if we are talking about sort of modernizing the character and making him a little bit more grounded in like today's high school world, then maybe. But I still found him a little bit too cool for my taste at least. But I can understand if people connected with his Peter Parker for sure. Um, But yeah, I mean, I think his overall arc for me, what's funny to me too is like I have been hearing a lot of, well, I don't want to say a lot of people, but I feel like I've heard like two people recently talk about the idea that after rewatching No Way Home a few years separated from it, people are saying it's not that good of a movie, and I'm kind of surprised about that. I kind of want to go back and see it again on my own and see how I feel about it, but I remember after seeing it, it became easily like a top three Spider-Man movie for me. Um, Spider-Man 2, Into the Spider-Verse, and then No Way Home. I just found it really epic and a huge, fantastic sort of culmination for it. Maybe I was taken back by the um the fan service of it. Um, but and now I kind of want to revisit it solely as like its own individual movie and see how it kind of works and stands on its own. But that Andrew Garfield moment of him saving Gwen was like everything to me. But I think, I don't think that that moment hits if the emotional exploration of Peter's life, whether that be his backstory or his relationship with Gwen, wasn't. I don't think that moment hit if it wasn't impactful, if they didn't do a good job in those particular areas. So yeah, I think the two Amazing Spider-Man movies in certain aspects definitely need to be appreciated a little bit more in regards to what they were able to do for the backstory of his character. Blossom, what's up, Blossom? I wonder how the reboot will play out. I'm used to how they've made Power Rangers from when we were kids. I got into this series pretty late at age 16. um I know I spoke about this last week. Oh, okay. So the first aspect, I wonder how the reboot will play out. Yeah, I mean, I think look, it's not just your concern, Blossom, but I think fans of just the franchise in general. I think when we've gotten so many years s- of Power Rangers being very um cut, copy, paste in the sense of like format wise, right? Episodic episodes each week, middle, beginning, and end, monster battle sort of thing. The idea of them now taking the show and like flipping it on its head and making it more modern, it does have a lot of people questioning how it's going to play out. How will it feel? The idea of an 8 to 10 episode series is fascinating to me. What's the pacing going to be like? Is it going to be like every 3 episodes is a particular arc? Is the whole season one giant big arc with a proper build up and a huge finale sort of thing? How much relationship building, how much action will we certainly get? Yeah, it's a lot for people to worry and certainly be concerned about when we're so used to having something one way for such a long time. But I think so I understand the worry that people have, but just give it time, and we'll judge it when we start seeing little bit more pieces of it, from a trailer to first looks to costume designs to who they're bringing in as their characters and stuff. Hopefully that type of stuff will squash down some of the worries for some people that are so used to something being one thing for such a long time. I know I spoke about this last week, but still, I know my work is fan fiction. But since I'm using the original continuity of Power Rangers from how we knew it, will I still be able to write our adaptation with my partner? Yeah, you can write it however you want to, Blossom. It doesn't matter what Power Rangers eventually goes on to do. If you want to base your stuff over the original continuity, just keep doing that. Nothing should stop you. It's not like they're gonna copyright you or anything like that. I mean, you tell the stories that you want to, and look, maybe there are aspects of the new series that, while may not be continuity wise, maybe there's some things, influences that they, new ideas that the new reboot might bring up that you might be able to find ways of including or incorporating in your own fan fiction. So, regardless of what direction that they go, we're always going to have the Power Ranger franchise from the past 28 however many years to mine from. So you just keep doing your creative thing. Doomsday, if you watch the live stream cast reveal of Doomsday, if you watch the live stream cast reveal for Avengers Doomsday, I'm not the main villain. What were your overall thoughts about it? Personally, I thought the announcement was very exciting, but the execution was terrible. Like the every 10 minutes thing or every 15 minutes thing, way too long. I don't know what the point of that was, why they decided to choose that. I do think the execution of it was slow, and a little bit terrible, but I thought the announcements, like you, were very exciting. I think the marketing scheme was brilliant in a sense of not the execution, but what it did for being able to capture people's attention for 5+ hours and have the internet and the world certainly talking about it, whether that be positively or negatively, right? They say, what is it? I can't remember the term that they certainly use, but any press is good press. And if it's allowing people to talk about you, I think you're doing a damn good job. And the fact that they got so many views, people might not have liked it, but they watched it, and that's impactful in and of itself. But again, after the first hour, I was like, really? Are we really doing this, y'all? And I think it was Letitia's Wright's name that I was like, oh, okay, she's coming back as Black Panther. Cool. I remember seeing Shang-Chi's name also, and I was like, okay, finally. I'm so glad this man's kind of coming back. And then I see my excitement start to build up, and then it was the Kelsey Grammer that I was like, boom, I'm locked in. Oh my god, Beast is coming back. Who's gonna be next? Oh my god. And then I find myself really sort of tapping in. So I went from one of those people thinking this is horrible to, all right, I'm digging what you guys are doing right now. Between Megaforce and Super Megaforce, they are both regarded as the worst seasons of Power Rangers. Which one of the said series do you think was the worst season of Power Rangers? No, I'm probably going to say Super Mega Force. And I say Super Mega Force because it just felt like Mega Force. I think had they just stuck with the Ghost Sager adaptation and just allowed these characters to continue to tell their stories and their arcs and then just proceed as was, hopefully getting better. I really enjoyed what we wind up getting with Megaforce. Once we got to Super Megaforce and things wind up switching up with no explanation of things, we got the Silver Ranger, who I never really cared for in this season. We got the unfulfilling legendary fail, unfortunately. Also, Super Megaforce felt very rushed and wanted to be thrown in there and produced just because it was pirates and wanted to put this all together. I think Super Megaforce wind up bringing it down. But I think had Megaforce stayed on its trajectory, maybe it could have been the better of the two halves. So if I had to pick the worst season out of both of them, I'd probably say Super Megaforce. Do you think we live in a great timeline where certain years have been equivalent to fictional timelines? Do you think that we live in a great timeline where certain years have been equivalent to fictional timelines? To name a few, we had a 2015, being the Back to the Future Part 2 timeline, 2023 being the Avengers Endgame timeline, 2025 being the Power Rangers SPD timeline, and the upcoming year 2029 being the Terminator timeline. I don't understand the question, Doomsday. I'm so sorry. Do you think that we live in a great timeline where certain years have been equivalent to fictional timelines? I mean, I guess I would say yes. I do think we live in a great timeline. Although yeah, we do live in a great timeline because one, I don't want to be in a 2015 Back to the Future timeline for sure. I definitely don't want to be a part of the 2023 Avengers Endgame timeline for sure. I feel like I would be a blipped person. 2025 being the SPD timeline, I might be down for that. And I definitely don't want to be a part of the 2029 timeline. Although 2025 time for SPD, like I'm just thinking aliens living amongst us, but there was a lot of poverty and squalor so probably not. But if we had Power Rangers in real life, I would be down. That's the only aspect of 2025 I would be down with is Power Rangers. Everything else out of that time, so yeah, you know what, we do live in a pretty damn great timeline compared to the equivalent of fictional timelines. Yes, I'll take. Well, I don't know, bro. Our timeline is looking more and more questionable, I'll say that. Prior, a couple years, maybe 10 years prior, I would have been like, yeah, bro, we live in a great timeline. But I feel like we're trying to become an equivalent fictional timeline in some weird, crazy ass way. So as of right now, I'll take our timeline, but it's becoming questionable and sketchy. I'll say that right now, okay? But thanks for the questions, Doomsday. I think that's everybody. I just want to double check I got everybody's questions. Let's go through this again. Marcelino, yeah, got yours. Yeah, I think we got everybody's. All right, awesome, guys. Awesome. Marcelino says Argent was used by Sony. Reportedly, if Sony used any Spider-Man villain, the MCU aren't allowed to make their own version, and feels like he was only used because this time Mario was an actual fan of Venom and felt like they were obligated to include him as some shape or form. Yeah, I don't expect Null to be involved in anything too big, unfortunately. But that will do it for all of our live viewer questions for today. So thank you guys so much for your continued participation each and every week, coming through with some great questions and your guys' involvement in regards to our live chat for sure, man. Always love hearing from you guys. But that will definitely do it for us. Again, upcoming programming that we might be working on. I'm probably going to try and attempt to do live streams of CinemaCon tomorrow night for the Sony panel, and then again Tuesday night for the Warner Brothers panel. I don't believe there's going to be a live stream. Maybe there is. I'll have to look a little bit more into that or not. But if anything, we'll probably be reacting to news and articles and maybe posters and first looks that maybe wind up dropping. So we'll probably try and do that. We do have some WonderCon panels that are going to be dropping throughout the week for you guys also, because Stuart is out in Anaheim at WonderCon right now. He's recording some stuff for us. So as he sends it over, we'll be making panels out of it and posting it, videos out of it and posting it online. We also have Daredevil Born Again episode 7 review coming for you guys later on in the week as well. And if I get the opportunity to see any movies this week, I'll certainly talk to you guys about it. I may actually be doing a Hellboy Crooked Man review for you guys. If anything, I actually went back and watched it. Finished it. Somebody commented on my Facebook page that they hadn't had the opportunity. They finally had the opportunity to check it out, and it motivated me to go ahead and watch it again. So I may be doing a Hellboy Crooked Man review for you guys later on this week as well. So a lot of content headed your guys' way for sure. So certainly look out for it. Support the channel in any way. Definitely does come in handy. Like this video, share this video, let people know about A Plus Hero Report. And the whole crew should in fact be back next week. But that will do it for me here. Your host, Adam Perez, as always. I'll certainly see you guys next weekend. And until then, do me a big favor, as always, guys. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A plus. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.